out. So let's start. Just you all know how to log in. Put your user ID and password. Then we'll go to travel and expense management module. It is here at the bottom. So basically there are three types of expenses you can submit online. First is other expenses, the miscellaneous expenses. Second is travel expenses, the tour expenses. And the last is mileage expense, which we used to call local expenses. So I'll start from mileage expense. I'll click on create mileage claim. In this type of expense, you will be able to claim your expenses which occurred on the basis of kilometers, because you have a eligibility to travel a particular kilometer in a day. So those expenses you can claim under this head. It is not mandatory that every day claim you need to submit it. You just select a period. It is saying like a period start and end. As you all know, as per the policy, in a 15 days, fortnightly, you need to submit your expense. So 15 days expenses, you select the period of 15 days. For example, if I want to submit my expense of June, so I'll select from 1st June to 15th June. Then I'll select the date 2nd June. Then from where to where I traveled, what was the purpose, and for example, today I traveled through four-wheeler. So I selected four-wheeler, petrol or CNG, whatever the transport you have, and then enter the kilometer. 60 kilometers suppose I traveled on 2nd June. In comment you can explain your entire day for the understanding of your manager. It is not necessary just one location to another location you traveled on a particular day. You might be traveled multiple locations, but from to you just enter your first point and the last point. In comments you can mention the entire day detail, so that your report approving authority can understand you traveled 60 kilometers and how many dealers or the projects you have visited. Then click on add expense. Same way, the 2nd June details also will pop up here in this line. Once you complete the entire period, you click on submit button, submit expense. So in one go you would be able to submit 15 days mileage expense in one go, and the one request will go to your reporting manager and he will approve accordingly. Another thing is for E4 grade, because there is a limit of 800 kilometer. After 800 kilometer, if you keep selecting four-wheeler petrol or four-wheeler CNG, the amount here will come up 0. The amount is showing here. That amount beyond 800 kilometer, it will show 0. So in that case, you need to select the travel mode two-wheeler. Then only you would be able to see the amount, right? And then click on submit, and request will go to. Any questions related to mileage claim? Any question here in mileage claim? Right. So the second type of expense is the travel expense.
Hello, sir. Sir, in that mileage button, what about the attachment, sir? There is an attachment buttons there.
Attachment is not mandatory. You just need to enter the distance.
Okay.
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 The basic details you just need to enter from where you started to and the purpose, travel mode, and the distance. So attachment is not mandatory here because you are claiming expense on the basis of travel. महेंद्र डिस्टर्बेंस आ रही है आपकी तरफ से?
नो सर, ऐसा कुछ नहीं।
आप म्यूट कर लो।
ठीक।
So we'll move to next type of expense, which is travel expense. So in this expense, this is for outstation travel, up country travel, where you need an accommodation or boarding, or you are traveling beyond 110 kilometer, because in local, in mileage claim, you can claim up to 110 kilometer for a particular day. For example, you traveled 150 200 kilometer by your car or a public transport, through bus or train. In that case, you need to create a travel request in advance. So we'll go to create travel request. It will ask for basic details, like is it a one-way round trip or multi-city trip. Then it will ask for purpose. For example, I'm going for conference. The mobile number, email ID, this will automatically will fetch from system this information. So make sure that your mobile number and email ID should be correct here. Then continue. Now it is asking for travel schedule. This travel schedule. It is asking for depart from. For example, I'm departing from Mumbai, going to Delhi. Tomorrow I am planning, or 30th. Return date asking for 31st. I will return on. Then it will ask for travel mode. As per my grade eligibility, it will show in green. If I'm not eligible for any type of mode, it will show in red cross. So I can travel by road or train, but in air it is I am not eligible for. For example, I am traveling by road. Then it will ask for if it is a AC bus or non-AC bus or car. For example, I am going by my car. So we'll book myself because there is no booking required because I'm traveling by my car. Then save, continue. Now it is asking for accommodation detail. So I'm traveling from Mumbai to Delhi. So place of stay would be automatically will show here, and Delhi I'll stay. And the check-in and check-out time, basic details, just need to enter. For example, my checkout time would be 31st. Now it is asking for hotel category. So there would be three category: lodging, self-accommodation, and NA. Lodging I need to select in that case where I need an accommodation. Self-accommodation is applicable where I am staying at my own place or relative place. In that, as per policy, you will get 50% of your eligible amount. NA is where I do not require my accommodation. For example, same day I am going and same day I am returning. So I do not need accommodation. So I can select NA here. So in this request, for example, if I do need a lodging or hotel I require, then I'll click on lodging. If you have gone through the new addendum related to travel and TADA policy, in that it is clearly mentioned that now it is mandatory that accommodation should be booked through help desk, through admin. You cannot book your own accommodation while traveling. So as per the new SOP, new guidelines, your accommodation should be booked through admin. In that case, you need to click here require booking. If you will click here at require booking, the request will go to help desk and they will take the action accordingly. So I'll click on save and next. Now it is asking for local travel there in Delhi. How do I travel? Because I am traveling through my own car, so I do not need a local conveyance there. If I am going by train or bus, in that case I do need a local conveyance, either auto or something. In that case, I'll select as per my eligibility. If you are eligible for taxi, in that case you can select the taxi, otherwise select on other. If you do not need local conveyance there, then select NA. So here, because I'm traveling by car, so I do not need local conveyance there. In this also, I do not need any booking, so we'll book myself already. And then I'll submit a request, and then request will go to reporting manager. Once your reporting manager will approve this request, then only you would be able to submit your expense against that request, right? So this is how you can raise your request in advance. If you have not done it yet of June or May month, you can also create a request of backdate. Backdate request also can be generated, but it is always recommended to raise your request at least 1 week in advance, so that the concerned stakeholders can take appropriate action. For example, if you do need an accommodation, in that case the admin department can book your the hotel accordingly. If you will same day or 1 day prior on urgent basis you will raise your request, in that case they will get a limited time to get you the best facilities. So always recommended to raise your travel request in advance. But because this is a new portal, new for everyone, might not have done it for June, so in that case you can also can generate your travel request of backdate, right? So now I'll show you, once your request get approved, then I'll show you where you would be able to submit your expenses against that request. So you need to go to create travel expense, create travel expense request. The first was create travel request. Now it is create travel expense request, because I need to submit my expenses against that already created, already approved travel request. So I'll click on create travel expense request, because there are few requests already approved in approved here. So I'll show you how to submit your expenses in case where you will already you will have your approved request. So for example, I'll select this one. This window will pop up. Then you need to click on the here this drop down menu. It will ask for just basic details, the payment mode, either cash or personal card or something. You just select the payment mode. Attach the invoice. Invoice you can attach in case you have traveled through public transport like train or bus. You can attach the ticket, but where you are traveled by your own car, in that case you will not receive any, you will not get any invoice. In that case you need to submit the logbook. You just fill that logbook and attach along with your uh, car meter opening and closing balance. So remember, in case of your own car travel, you need to attach the logbook. You fill your logbook manually, take a photo, attach it along with your meter reading, opening and closing balance, right? And then enter the amount. Again, it will ask for accommodation. If I opted for accommodation, in that case, you remember that you selected required booking. So admin would have booked your accommodation. In that case, you need to select the payment mode, charge to company, and the invoice received from admin, you need to attach it here and enter the amount. Okay. Then it will ask for local travel expense. If it is there, click on location. As per the eligibility, the amount will also show here, and enter your the whatever expense in your local as per the SOP. You can claim accordingly. For food expense, you need to click on add other expenses. Fill the basic details. Click on food. Date. Payment mode. Tally. And then enter the amount. Also need, as you know, as per the policy, you need to attach the invoice against your food expense. Attach the invoice here. Click on add button. Enter the description if you want to. Then click on save. This will lead to the next page. And here on this page, you can see the entire summary of your expense, either related to the expense, travel or accommodation or the local conveyance. All the expense will be covered here in this summary, whichever you entered. And then click on submit. Your request will get submitted. And once your reporting manager will approve it, it will go to the the sales support and the finance team. So we have covered the mileage expense. We understood how to create the travel request. Then I explained you how to submit the expenses against that request. Now we'll move to any question here on travel request.
Hello. Sir, एक question sir.
Yes, please.
हेलो
Yeah,
सर,
tell me.
सपोज हम कोई प्रोजेक्ट में सैंपल लेके जा रहे हैं, उसको कैसे कर सकते हैं सर? सैंपल का
That is a separate expense. So I'll move to that type of expense also. So the third type of expense, I told you the other expenses. So we'll click on other expense. Now it will ask for which type of expense you occurred. So for example, you ask for sampling expense. There must be some head for sampling here. Yeah, it is there. Sampling samples expenses. Enter the payment mode. So cash is already selected. Enter the amount and then the expense date. Attach the invoice and enter the comments and then submit it. So there are few already defined heads here. For example, if you some kind of expenses occurred, but the head is not defined for that expense, then there is a last head which is miscellaneous expense. So any expense which you think is not covered in these heads, defined heads, you can enter in the miscellaneous expense. For example, the toll expenses, or nowadays you might be claiming for sanitizer or mask. So you can select the miscellaneous expense, enter the amount, select the date, attach the invoice and submit it. Right. So that's more or less in
Hello.
see if one more thing, for each expense there is a transaction tab also, so you can see all the transactions. For example, you enter your expense in other expenses, so other expenses transaction you can see here, travel expense transaction you can see, the mileage expense. So this would be a kind of record for you, like when you submitted your expense, where it is pending, how many days it is pending for, all the details you can see in the transaction section. Yes, please. Now, yeah, tell me.